What did you think about the fight, Jake Paul?
I hate it. And Jake Paul's starting to piss me off. Stop this nonsense of going against dudes that either ain't boxing or is 25 years removed from the sport.
Yeah, you want to make as much money as you can when you're boxing. Of course you do. And you do your deal and you're negotiating, and then really you forget about it, because actually it's not the money driving you every day in the gym. You know, you need to sort your business side of things out.
Jake Paul recently came under fire from Stephen A. Smith for criticizing Anthony Joshua, and he didn't hold back. Smith stated unequivocally that it's time for Jake Paul to face legitimate boxers. YouTubers are not elderly icons, and they most certainly aren't unknown warriors. He made fun of Paul for taking on a 58-year-old Mike Tyson and rejected Tommy Fury as a legitimate opponent.
Time has come to get in the ring with boxers. And Tommy Fury don't count. Nor the no-name dude that you caught with an uppercut and put him down in the first or second round. Nor is it the 58-year-old Mike Tyson.
Jake Paul's work ethic in boxing has been questioned by Stephen A. Smith, who has asked him to be open about how much he practices. He pushed Jake to demonstrate his commitment to the game. Jake Paul responded by saying that although some may think he is simply having fun or treating boxing like a joke, he takes it seriously. He made it clear that he works hard and is dedicated to become a better boxer. Paul keeps working out hard to disprove his skeptics because he wants to be accepted as a real fighter.
People, what your workout is like, and tell people how much you work on boxing and being in shape.
We're waking up, at the track, running 800 meter, 400 meter, 200, 200, 800, 400, 200, 200, 200, sparring, sprinting, all types of workouts, push-ups, pull-ups, sledgehammer, tire flips, jogging 5 miles after that, abs, getting punched in the stomach nonstop, and then doing it all over again the next day. Ice baths, recovery, yoga, meditation, visualization, manifestation of winning the fight. And I think people get confused by me promoting the fight. They think I'm just like messing around by making these skits and having fun. And they think I'm, not going to come in and take this guy.
Paul has claimed that his team was approached by Stephen A. Smith's staff, who expressed interest in having Paul appear on Smith's show. Paul says he tried contacting Smith directly but got no answer. Potential is highlighted in this scenario. Scheduling problems or a breakdown in communication between the parties. It's possible that Paul brought up the unreturned message in public to get Smith to respond or to draw attention to apparent contradictions in Smith's criticism of him.
Literally changed the channel from watching Stephen A's First Take to watch BS with Jake Paul. That's what the fuck I'm talking about. That's why we made this show. Stephen A. Smith, bro. Your team texted my team and said that you wanted me to text you to come on your podcast. So they gave me your number and I texted you and you never responded.
You left him on red.
Paul's decision to take up boxing icon Mike Tyson has drawn open criticism from Stephen A. Smith. Smith contends that Paul should fight against opponents his own age and skill level if he is serious about boxing, instead of challenging more seasoned veterans like Anthony Joshua. Smith's criticism focuses on the idea that Paul has to challenge much older or more seasoned competitors in order to get legitimacy in the boxing industry. These opponents must be active and have similar ability and experience. Instead of actually putting his skills to the test, Paul can be seen as looking for attention.
Buy the hype at this particular moment in time. Now, I'll give Jake Paul credit for this. At least he's in the ring with a boxer. But 57 years old is 57 years old. And 57 years old and formally walking into a UFC fight as an audience member, as a patron with a cane, it's hard to me believe a year later that you're going to be in any condition to really fight. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know. And if you're Jake Paul, here's what I want to say to you. It's Mike Tyson, that's fine. It's a money fight, I get you, and you want to make money. But at some point in time, if you keep telling us that you're taking boxing seriously and you want to be recognized as a big-time boxer / fighter, you're going to have to fight somebody closer to your age, who is a contender at the very least in the sport, and who lives with it every single day. Could you please get in the ring with somebody? Pretty please, with sugar on top. I'm interested.
Primarily faces non-boxers, or those who are beyond their best, according to Smith, who has long questioned Paul's opponents. Paul responded by defending himself by claiming that Tommy Fury became frightened when he attempted to attack him. Paul's boxing career is at a turning point. Although he has defeated older boxers and former MMA fighters, he has not yet regularly defeated up-and-coming boxing talent. One of the rare occasions he fought a real boxer in his prime was in his bout with Tommy Fury, which he lost. Critics contend that Paul should face more fighters like Fury if he wants respect, despite Paul's insistence that Fury didn't want the rematch.
Are beating up on dudes who don't box. They're not boxers.
I was on Disney Channel while these guys were winning UFC championships.
Okay.
I was playing with Mickey Mouse while these guys were throwing arm bars and winning UFC championships. Everyone's, analyzing my career, critiquing it, paying attention to it from day one, but you can't tell me who was Mike Tyson's first fight. You can't tell me who Muhammad Ali, who was his fourth fight. No one knows, but everyone's seen all of my fights. I tried to fight Tommy Fury. Yeah, I tried to fight Tommy Fury, and he backed out due to a rib injury. Undefeated, young prospect. He comes from the Fury family. His brother's the heavyweight champion of the world. I tried to fight him, and he got scared.
Paul has also come under fire from Stephen A. Smith for his inability to withstand powerful blows. Tommy Fury doesn't hit that hard, he said, dismissing the notion that Fury had wounded Paul during their battle. According to Smith, Paul must demonstrate that he can withstand serious blows if he hopes to face more well-known opponents. He doesn't think a fighter with true knockout power has yet to put Paul to the test.
We've seen Jake Paul get hit by anybody. It wasn't about Tommy Fury. It damn sure wasn't about Nate Robinson. Okay, it wasn't about Nate Diaz.
I think he took some big shots. He took some big shots from Fury.
Fury doesn't have big shots, Kyle. He can't punch. That's the one thing
I
he
mean,
can punch.
not like a legend like Mike Tyson, but Stephen A. is 58, bro.
I agree.
And I love Tyson. I don't even want to be saying this publicly, but it's Prize Picks, so we got to be truthful. I don't want to see it, but I think it's going to happen.
I don't want to see it either, but here's what I'm saying to you. I'm thinking it's going to be a long night, short night in a bad way for Mike Tyson because of his age. I get that part. What I'm saying is no one has hit Jake. So what if Jake finally does get hit? What do you think will happen then? We've never really seen him get hit.
Has said unequivocally that he wants Jake Paul to face legitimate boxers rather than world champions or legendary fighters. "You are not ready for a world champion," he said to Paul. Paul has previously criticized Canelo Alvarez for his desire in fighting him. But Smith has stated that Paul is not prepared to face someone of that caliber. He thinks Paul should advance before attempting to compete against elite boxers.
You don't think that you're ready for some guy like Canelo Alvarez, though?
I am beyond ready.
Jay, come
I
on,
beat
man.
Canelo
God,
Alvarez.
Stephen A., you're just not happy with anything. First, you're like getting there with a real opponent, and then you're like, you're not ready for Canelo. You're not that crazy. Well, make up your mind.
What is your name again?
My name is Julia.
You can't sit up there and say I'm not happy with anything because I'm saying get in with a real boxer. But in the same breath, I'm like, you ain't ready for a world champion.
But I'm beating world champions in sparring.
Okay, I didn't know.
According to reports, Canelo Alvarez and Jake Paul were about to fight when Turkey intervened. Although Alec Paul had been pressing for the fight, it never happened. Although this would have been one of Paul's most significant arguments ever, it appears that it will not take place at this time.
Everything was ready to go, 1 yard line, signed LOI. Basically, Turkey hates me, absolutely hates me. We heard through the back channels for multiple weeks because we've been negotiating since the Monday after the Tyson fight. So we were negotiating for 2 months straight.
That's a lot of time.
And the whole entire time, Turkey was doing everything in his power to strip the fight, try to not make it happen, calling Canelo, calling Eddie Reynoso, basically saying, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? To the point where he had to threaten Canelo to pull his 3-fight deal. You're not fighting Crawford. I'm not paying you any of this money. And he's basically paying him over $100 million for this random fight in May. And
Canelo at some point is like, okay, you bought me.
Additionally, boxers don't become angry. When someone like Jake Paul criticizes legends, according to Andre Ward, "If it were to happen to me, I wouldn't take it seriously," Ward stated, adding, "I don't have time to entertain the circus." According to Ward's remarks, he views Paul's bouts as more of an entertainment performance than a legitimate boxing match. Similar views have been expressed by other professional boxers who claim that Paul's bouts are not authentic.
Where Canelo's coming from. Anybody for that matter. If, like you said, if you've been in a fire, how dare anybody come to me and act like I'm supposed to fight you? And, you know, you're a YouTuber that turned to boxing and I'm a champion walking around here and y'all acting like I need him. Do you think they're justified in feeling annoyed when people come at them like that about Jake Paul?
I understand completely where Canelo's coming from. If I was an active fighter, I wouldn't entertain it either. You know, when you in the fire and you still in the game like that, you got real issues and beef going on. You got real opponents, like dudes that can really hurt you, that you need to figure out how to beat them and when we go fight and all that kind of stuff. I don't have time to entertain the circus. I don't have time for you to have my name even associated with a dude that ain't really a fighter like that. So I understand completely with it. He ain't got a lot of time to entertain that kind of stuff, but you know how it goes, Stephen A. People say they're not interested in something until that number get large enough and all of a sudden start making.
There have been allegations that Jake Paul selects opponents who will fight for a large payout and that his bouts are manipulated. Paul has been picking his opponents carefully, and some people think his fight with Tyrone Woodley was manufactured. Paul's boxing career has been marred by these charges.
Hey, I'm sorry to have to ask you this, but I know you probably signed an NDA, but blink twice if that Jake Paul fight was set up.
Blink twice.
I know you probably.
I don't never blink because I got these liberty eyes. I don't need much air, you know what I mean, to keep them open. A lot of people wonder that, but think about this: if I say Rampage pay you $2 million, right? Let this dude beat you. What you gonna do? You gonna feel disrespected, number one.
Yeah.
Right. That ain't enough money.
Yeah.
But I got paid in the Jake fights. For me to do that, I gotta be willing to walk away for good, and it gotta set me up for a while, at least not for life, but something like 20-something million where I can invest it and fall off in the shade, because that's what you would have to do. Would I do something like that? You would have to know me to know I'm too solid of a guy to even have somebody walk to me and ask me.
Yeah.
What happened to me is what was going to happen to him had he dropped those hands. Before we fought, I said, hey, you can knock me out and I can knock you out. And I'm going to try to fuck you up tonight.
Joshua is injured and won't be fighting until at least August. According to Eddie Hearn's latest announcement, Jake Paul has called him out in spite of this, which has sparked several inquiries. Joshua was initially scheduled to face Daniel Dubois this year, but that bout has been postponed because of his injuries. Since Paul called him out, others have questioned if he is sincere or only seeking publicity.
Joshua to return, but we've heard absolutely nothing about it. Now, the Daily Mail are saying that Anthony Joshua is actually injured. Return timeline: as Eddie Hearns reveals, the heavyweight is unable to enter even training camp due to an injury setback. Anthony Joshua's estimated return date has been detailed after Eddie Hearn reveals the heavyweight has suffered from a setback. The Brit has been out of action since he lost against Danny Dubois in Wembley last September. With his future up in the air on the back of the devastating knockout defeat, fans have been curious to know as to what his next move is, with no announcements made, despite reports he could face longtime rival Tyson Fury as soon as this year. Now, however, it's been revealed that Joshua is dealing with an injury, as revealed by Eddie Hearn when asked if Joshua could face Dubois in a rematch after the champion pulled out of his fight against Joseph Parker due to illness. Let's carry on. That's kind of a bit more of a miscellaneous stuff. No rematch with Dubois will be happening anytime soon, though, Eddie Hearn revealed, as he details when fans can expect Joshua's return to the ring. So we won't be seeing Anthony Joshua in the ring against Daniel Dubois for a rematch. That's not going to happen. I'm going to quote Eddie Hearn here directly. Now, it's interesting because Eddie Hearn hasn't really revealed much detail on it, but bear with me. It says, not a lot to report. Not a lot to report. Joshua's promoter Eddie Hearn told IFL from Australia, look, he resumed training, and to cut a long story short, without going into too much detail about any injury, he's not really ready to start camp. He needs another 8 weeks or so on his injury.
Many people think that Paul would lose to a boxer like Joshua, and that his calls to elite boxers are merely publicity stunts. Regarding this, Matt Mlin has also stated that Joshua has already achieved all in boxing and that his prime is over.
You lose a fight, you know, your pride's hurting and you want an immediate rematch. I think when the dust settles, and actually that comes down to making that happen, you know, with AJ being 34 years of age now and everything is achieved, like the Olympics were, what, 12 years ago, over 12 years ago, and it's just been in the spotlight ever since. He's won everything. He's made, you know, been 2 times heavyweight champion. Made, I don't even know what he's made money-wise. Like, what's motivating him really to fight now? And the thing is, like, you know, yeah, you want to make as much money as you can when you're boxing. Of course you do. And you do your deal and you negotiate, and then really you forget about it, because actually it's not the money driving you every day in the gym. You know, yeah, you need to sort your business side of things out with your manager and promoter, and you want to get as much as you can. But once that's done with, when you're in the gym and you're going through the pain barriers, it's not money that's driving you on. Do you know what I mean? It's to win, to be the best. And AJ's been the best. He's probably not going to be the best ever again, because I've never known a fighter at 34 to get better. The performances go downhill from here, and it can be hard to accept at times, because you're dealing in fractions of seconds, you know, between winning and losing, between getting hit with a shot or slipping a shot. And I just think, like, you've seen that fight with Dubois, you've seen AJ, and AJ was coming into it off 2 good wins with a new trainer. His confidence in his team was good. You know, do you know what I mean? Everything was good for AJ going into that fight, and he didn't perform. You know, he got caught badly in the first round, but I don't think he got caught cold. It was at the end of the...
Hearn claims that despite Joshua's injury, he has not entirely ruled out the possibility of facing Jake Paul. He was informed by Joshua, "Listen, I'd fight him." Since Joshua is a previous world champion with far more experience, many people view this as an implausible fight. Yet, the fact that Joshua accepted Paul's challenge has continued the discussion.
Then it looks like Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul might be in discussions to fight. They were both on a call to each other earlier, and the viral video went round of Jake Paul saying he would knock out Anthony Joshua. If I'm being completely honest, I think Jake Paul would actually be lucky to make it out alive, and like, I'm actually being dead serious. Like, I think Jake Paul will be lucky to make it out of the ring with Anthony Joshua alive. Tyron Woodley literally had Jake Paul on skates and had Jake Paul panicking for his life. Imagine what Anthony Joshua would do. Look at what Joshua did to the last non-boxer he fought in Francis Ngannou. That is not going to end well for Jake Paul. But look, let's be real here. This fight should never happen. It's an absolute disgrace to the sport if it does. And yeah, there's got to be a lot of backlash if this actually happens, because it's actually probably worse to the sport of boxing than what Fury in Ngannou was when it came around, or, you know, yeah, or Mayweather McGregor. Like, you know, it can't.
Fans are eager to watch Anthony Joshua battle Jake Paul, since they think Joshua will control him.
You have got to be taking the mick. Jake Paul has called out Anthony Joshua and claims, "I will fucking beat Anthony Joshua's ass." You know what? I want this to happen just so Anthony Joshua could just absolutely decimate this man right here. So first he fights Tommy Fury, a legitimate professional boxer, and he loses. Then he fights an OAP and Mike Tyson and beats him. Obviously, he's nearly 60 years old. Then he goes to try and fight Canelo, which fell through, thankfully. Then he tried to fight Tank Davis, which again fell through. And now he wants to fight Anthony Joshua, a legit world level heavyweight boxer. Anthony Joshua is someone that I've always looked up to, and probably one of my favourite boxers to this day and age. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind Jake Paul here and there, but there's just things he does in the sport that I don't agree with at all. And fighting Anthony Joshua, listen, I'm all here for it, just to see him get knocked clean out. The fact that he thinks he can compete with these high level boxers, even though he lost to Tommy Fury, is just laughable. But how long does it take for Anthony Joshua to knock Jake Paul out? I'm saying 5 seconds.